A, how do we relate the content to the audience? How do we actually carry ourselves during these presentations? And how do we overcome some technical challenges that may occur, like this one right now? There we go. There we go. So what is a good delivery? What defines a good delivery? We're going to talk about the methods of delivery. How do we actually deliver these speeches? The speaker's voice, what it needs to be like. What type of speaker are you? What type of body language and voice should you be using? How you should move your body along the way. I notice a lot of people up here when they deliver a presentation, we tend to get stuck one side of the room only, so we only tend to use just this little box. But remember, we have an entire room. I can walk around the entire room to try and get most of your attention. Yeah, it might be a little tough to maneuver around, might be a little tough to get around, but it's me moving around now keeps your audience attention on you, not so much the presentation. So one of the things we're going to do in this class is we're going to actually give a speech, but without PowerPoint. Why do I want you to give a speech without PowerPoint? What is the method? What's the purpose of that? Why would you give a speech without a PowerPoint presentation?
To get attention to
Correct. You want to have the audience pay attention to what you're saying. Now, how do I do that? This, again, remember, is just a tool. This is not what you want your audience to pay attention to. This is just a tool. So we're going to practice that, how to practice delivery, the steps you need to take in order to get yourself prepared to deliver a speech without a PowerPoint presentation. And that's not to say that you can't use visuals. And I'm going to pretend that this is Mike Wazowski for a minute. Right? You can use different tools in the room to your advantage to be able to convey your message, which is what we're going to work on. And then today, I tried asking a lot of questions to you during your presentations, all of you. Why? Because today we're going to answer how do I address the audience? How do I interact with the audience? They ask questions. You guys have questions. Of course you do. Every active mind has a question. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. All right. So with that, we're going to notice at the bottom, if you can see this, is I've also put an agenda down here. There's a way to keep track of the agenda. Down below is one way. Last time I did it up on the side, just so you know where we're at and where we're going throughout the entire presentation. But basically, good delivery is just the formality and the best attributes of a good conversation. You and your friend have a very, very intellectual conversation. You're using bigger vocabulary. You're using more your facial expressions to be able to convey, wow, I'm very enthusiastic about this. You're actually using your hands. You're in a debate amongst friends. And this is really an art. This is not a science at all. It's really how do you control the entire audience as if you were the conductor of a symphony. How do I pause? How do I iterate my point? How do I use inflection, voice, body language, all of that? And so we're going to talk about all of this today. So what are some of the methods of delivery? We've done this in the very beginning of the class, right? A lot of us had pieces of paper in front of us. We read the script, literally. Even though we had a PowerPoint presentation behind us, we read from a piece of paper to help us stay on track. Very, very, very few times in your career should you ever do this. The only times that should be done if you are the Pope, the President, or a political figure, where you're speaking to millions of people, which is an awesome opportunity, by the way, it really is, but it's where every single word you say will be scrutinized. What does scrutinize mean?
Scrutiny.
ถึงขั้นเซิร์ชได้เหรอ
คำว่าอะไรนะ
SCI
TI. Yep, correct.
I
understand.
Scrutinize is to critically analyze. Yeah, exactly. Every single word you say, every pause you make, every word, everything will be scrutinized along with the message. That's when you read from a script where millions of people are going to be watching. But even still, you'll look at some of the best readers. Look at President Obama, one of the better speakers that I've seen on a public platform. He may read from a manuscript, but he reads as if he is talking to someone. In his mind, he has somebody who he's talking to. If I just reading from a script, extremely formal situations, religious leaders, presidents speaking to millions, even if you read as if you were talking to someone. Exactly, that look, he's so confused, like really, what is that? But if I came through and I said, even if you read as if you were talking to someone, there's a big difference between how those two are delivered. Even though I'm reading this verbatim. What is verbatim? Verbatim.
Oh.
Remember? Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Word for
มัน
word.
คือไอเนี่ยอะไรวะไอที่เหมือนแบบไปเล่าคำเขามาเป๊ะๆอ่ะ
Right? I'm using this as if I'm speaking to someone. Right? Reciting from memory. Next week, I'm going to give you homework that's going to be a little more difficult. You're going to prepare a speech where you do not use a PowerPoint. You do not use notes. Yeah, right? It's more difficult. Holy crap, what do we do now? I don't have a PowerPoint. I don't have any visuals. I just have to talk to the audience.
Only me. Only myself.
Yeah, just you yourself.
Use only our
Yes, only use your voice.
voice.
Yes. That's all you have is body language, your voice. This is all you get.
ต้องเล่นใหญ่ Hello.
Exactly. People didn't come to your presentation to see your PowerPoint skills. People came to your presentation to hear your message. Practice saying your message so you don't need PowerPoint. That's powerful. Other methods of delivery are, let's say somebody asks you to speak about your experience so far. Come on, please stand up and tell us about your experience thus far in your school. And that's really difficult. You have not prepared at all. You're just sitting there like, wait, what? Huh? This is really, really painful. This is excruciating. Why are you picking on me? Instead, view it as an opportunity. Hey, they want my opinion. So, in those situations, don't panic. Compose yourself, breathe, thank the speaker. Thank you, speaker. I'd like to say it was great, and this is why it was great. And here are some supporting examples of why it was great. And again, I'd like to say it was great because of these reasons. This is what you want to aim for. What is that word? Extemporaneously. Yeah, it's what I'm doing right now. It's not looking at my PowerPoint. It's speaking as if I'm talking to you in a conversation. This is the ideal because it makes you feel like we're connecting. Hopefully with the audience, they can all feel like they're participating in this conversation. Right? When we gave presentations earlier today, it felt like it was very much, this is comedy. This is what other people said about comedy. It wasn't, hey, do you guys like jokes? Do you know a joke? Do you know a joke? Why are you laughing about that joke? What makes it so funny? Right? Conversational skills are really a presentation, and that's it. The first week, we talked about the similarities between a conversation and a presentation. Does anyone remember what they are? The conversation, the similarities between having a conversation and the similarities between that and a presentation. You and Wendy are talking versus you're presenting to Wendy. What's the different, or what's the same thing about that? What's similar?
แบบอันนี้ไงมันต่างกันยังไงไอ้ speaking convert กับไอ้ public speaking ไม่เหมือนกันยังไงที่เราเคยเรียนไปทีแรกไงทำได้ปะที่เขาบอก conversation กับ public speaking มันมีอะไรที่เหมือนกันบ้างทำได้ไหม
No, that's okay. This is a good review, right? This is a conversation. That's all this is. Me standing up in front telling you about something is just a conversation. This is just a one-way conversation.
Are they different?
Excuse me. It's only different in the fact that I'm going to use a little more formal tone, and I'm also going to do majority of the talking. Those are the real big differences. The similarities are this is a conversation. I need you to participate. I need your feedback to tell me if I'm getting my message across. If you're all zoning out on your computer, going to sleep, eating food, whatever, wait, I'm not doing my job as a presenter. And if I was talking to you as a friend, and you did that as a friend, and you fell asleep as a friend, and you ate as a friend, and you started jumping on your computer as a friend, then I'm doing a bad job of keeping my friend interested in the conversation. Right? If you're at dinner with your friend and they pull out their cell phone and they start typing away while you are talking to them, is that nice? Is that good? Why?
Because you don't respect him.
Exactly. So this is nothing more than a conversation. All right. So this voice is what we're going to get to next. And talking about volume, talking about the pitch, talking about the rate. Right? Hello! Good morning, everybody! It's one of the biggest tools you have. Not just loud, but project your voice. Pay attention to the back of the room. We know everyone up here can hear just fine. You're sitting 2, 3 feet, 5 feet away. But the back of the room, can you hear me okay back there? 20 feet away, 30 feet away? Do you need a microphone? If I can't hear you, they can't hear you back there, you've lost half of your audience. They've fallen asleep. Huh? Screw it, I can't hear you. Whatever. Don't care. Right. The pitch is the inflection that you use within your voice. It's the up, the down, the high, the low. Make your presentation more of like a sing-song. That way people understand what you're trying to say. Keeps people entertained and enthused. And then the rate. I know I have a poor job at this. I do a bad job. I speak really fast. Because I like the topic. I'm excited about the topic. I've tried to slow it down, but I still do a bad job at it. So the rate is something that you need to pay attention to. Are you speaking too fast? Are you speaking too slow? And paying attention to the eyes of the audience. Always, I stress eye contact. Why do I stress eye contact?
Eye contact to audience because you want them to pay attention to you.
Yeah, if I have your eyes, I have your mind. If I have your mind, I know you're getting the information. Remember, presentation isn't about just standing and talking. Presentation is about making sure that you've heard and understood the thing that I want to say. I am here for you, you are not here for me. It's the big difference. All right, pauses. How do we pay attention to when you take a pause? Yeah, why is that important?
That relate to the audience and the thing.
Exactly. People need time to digest information. We eat food, our bodies need time to digest. Why are our brains any different? Right? So using pauses helps the audience digest information. Mark Twain once said that the right word may be effective, but no word has ever been effective as the rightly timed pause. This I've noticed a lot. I've noticed improvement a lot. and it still happens. The best way to correct this is to go back and watch yourselves and understand where and why you use the. These take away from your credibility as a speaker. They also take away from your flow. What is the flow? Right? It's the rate at which you keep going to keep your message be heard. Let's say you're listening to music, and you're listening out to this really good song. What's a song you like today? Adele, right? Imagine her. Hello. Can you hear me? I'm in California. And I'm dreaming again. Right? It would disrupt the flow if you put in the
Yeah, but it's automatic, right? It's automatic reaction.
That's the problem, right? It doesn't have to be automatic. And that's where practice comes in. So try using these vocal varieties. Try mixing in inflection. Try mixing in the rate. Try speaking faster. Try speaking slower. A lot of it is based on what you feel about the presentation or the passage you're talking about itself. When you talk about what you wanted to present on, you were a lot more passionate. You were a lot more enthusiastic. You wanted us to know, therefore you spoke at a little bit of a faster pace. You spoke with a little more energy in your voice. Use that. Pronunciation and grammar are huge, and this is where practice comes in. You want to be able to speak to large audiences. You want to be able to speak to international audiences. If I can't understand it, I'm not going to pay attention to it because I have to digest the words that you're saying. If I miss one word, I'm thinking back, what was that word that he said? What was that word that she said? I missed it. Oh, the speaker's gonna keep going. Crap, I'm missing the point. I don't understand anymore. I give up. Or if I have to read, interpret what you said grammatically, and put this all back together again, that means I have to do work to understand what you're saying. Same goes for you guys, for me. If I speak too fast, you miss words I say. That's my fault. I need to slow it down because I want you to hear my message. If I speak grammatically incorrectly, that means you have to now rearrange that in your mind. I know you'll understand this analogy. Every time I say something very, very fast, your mind has to do push-ups to keep up. How many push-ups is your mind going to be able to do before you give up and you're tired? Right? Same exact thing. How much work will your mind have to do to keep up with the speaker or the audience? We want to make this slow, we want to make this succinct, and we want to make sure we pronounce the letters clearly. Articulation is very, very important. If I were to be up here and talk to you about Thai grammar or Thai alphabet, and I was to say, you know what, I know the Thai alphabet, it's Ko, Gai, Ko, Kai, Ko, Kuat, Ko, Kwai, Ko, Kon, Korakan. Does that sound right? It sounds so awful, right? But instead if I'm like, Ko, Gai, Ko, Kai, Ko, Kwai, Ko, Kwai, Ko, Kuat, Ko, Kon, Korakan, no, right? A little bit better, I'm not there yet, but close, it's getting better. It's getting to a point where you can almost understand what I'm saying, right? So between the first and the second, vast improvement. If you can't pronounce the letters one by one correctly, how could you ever pronounce the words correctly? That's the idea. So body language. So whatever occasion you're going to, wherever you're going, you want to make sure you dress appropriately. To a wedding, you are not going to wear jeans and a t-shirt. To a formal presentation in front of millions of people, you're not going to wear a baseball cap. You might if you're at a BMX show, something like that. If you're at a concert, a little bit different. Right, so be aware of the occasion, dress for the occasion. Movements and gestures. This one's a bit tough. I move a lot. I walk around a lot. I use my hands a lot. That's because I like to use my body. I think that by using my body, my message gets sent out a lot clearer. People can actually understand because I am conveying through my body language. So be comfortable. Act as you would in a conversation. And what does that mean? If you're a conservative person in conversation, if you're someone that doesn't like to move around a lot, then use these two tools, rate and pause. Talk slower, use more pauses, use larger vocabulary. Let thoughts sink into people's minds. But if you're more of an enthusiastic speaker, someone like myself, then you use volume, you use inflection. You try and make a song, a rhythm, a dance out of your presentation, so thereby people feel like they can participate with you while you're going through the motions that you're going through. So again, eye contact, cannot stress this enough. And I notice in this class, most of the presenters look at me. Why are you looking at me? Look at the audience. These guys are what matter. You guys are what matter. You're not me. I'm here to guide you in the right direction. I'm not here to judge you or not judge you. Your audience members are there for that. So, who's heard this one before? The eyes are the windows of the soul, right? Exactly. Establish eye contact with your entire audience. You are all here, not just one of you. You are all here. And then, it's the only way you get the proper feedback from your audience. If I don't make eye contact with you, I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying or not. And it is by far the most important part of any speech because everyone wants to be involved in what the speaker is saying. How did the speaker do that? I don't know. So, how do you practice delivery? Who's done the outline portion? Who's actually outlined their speech? What is an outline? I'm going to run over this. I don't think we're in class. Agenda, right? Go through the agenda in your mind. Practice your agenda out loud. Make sure that you know all the points that you are going to talk about. Why? Because then you yourself are comfortable with all of those points. Practice it out loud. Prepare your speaking outline, and then practice the speech itself aloud. That is very important. How many of you talk to yourselves? I do all the time. I talk to myself. I talk to myself because I have conversations in my mind, pretending that I have someone else in the room, that they are arguing against me, against my own thoughts. What do we call that? There's a term for that. To poke holes in your own thoughts and your own beliefs. What is that? Critical thinking. Right? When you pretend that you don't have all of the answers and you make this statement saying, I'm the greatest in the world. Well, is that a true statement? There's 7 million other people. Do you know everyone else? No, you don't. What are you great at? Do you even know what you're great at? Well, that's great. Then I'm glad you think you're the greatest in the world. But clearly, if you were the greatest person in the world, you'd be on TV. Everyone would want to be around you. But clearly, you're standing here in a room all alone talking to yourself by yourself. So are you really the greatest person in the world? Right. So, what have you done? You've gone from I'm the greatest person in the world to, okay, I'm not the greatest person in the world. Am I the worst person in the world? Find yourself in the middle, right? Every single presentation you do, find yourself somewhere where you are comfortable with your message that you can deliver to your audience. When they ask a question, you have an answer. So you polish and refine your delivery. Make the examples. Give the examples that the audience can relate to, right? It's all about you guys. It's not about me. It is about you guys. What is that face for? And then this for more formal speeches. You guys don't have to do the dress rehearsal for this class, but the dress rehearsal if you're going to a wedding, if you're going to a formal speaking event, if you have to speak to a customer, right? You might want to actually put on the suit. Watch yourself in the mirror. This is a really big client. There's a 1,500 million baht deal on the 15 million baht deal on the line here. I have to make this happen. I want to look my best. How do I appear? Everything from the handshake, from the smile, to the way I present myself, to walking in the room, those first 3 seconds, everyone judges right then and there. Who you are, what you are, where you are, why you are, how you are. So today I tried to get you guys to think about answering the audience questions, how to handle that. And it's a bit more difficult for this class, no need to be as formal, but critical thinking. formulate answers to all the questions that could come up. Like, what's a Rorschach test? What is a TAT test? What's the HTP test? The house tree person test, I think it was? Right? What do all those mean? And why does it matter to me? Why should I and the audience care? So practice the delivery of your answers. Well, pretend you're answering the questions yourself. How would you like them answered? You're asking the questions of the presenter, critical thinking, talking to yourself in the room. How would you answer those questions? Always approach questions with a positive attitude. Thank you so much for asking that question. It sets me up for my next topic. Or thank you very much for asking that question. I'm so excited about that topic. And so are many of you in the audience, I can tell already. So a lot of the things that we do in this class, we present just for this room. But in your mind, I know you all know how to pretend. What is pretend? Make believe. Right? Make believe means imagine it's not just 5 people in this room or 4 people in this room. Imagine it's 5,000 people in this room. How would you address all 5,000 people? What's the message that they would want to hear? Wow, holy crap, I filled up an entire stadium of people. How do I address all of them? So listen carefully to what the person in the audience is asking of you. What is their question? It might not be as simple as, what does that acronym mean? It could be a little more complicated as, well, I'm glad you presented all of that, but how do I get my finished product to SkillLane or Udemy or wherever else it needs to go? How do I get my product there? Right? Again, when you're being asked a question, I guarantee you that one person is not the only person who had that question. Right? How? That was a very common question. Rorschach test, that was another common question. How does that question get answered? That one person does not have all the answer of the only question. The entire audience probably has a similar question. So talk to everybody. And then if you don't know the answer, it is so common for people to just say, I don't know. But instead, say, you know what? I am not sure what the answer to that question is, but I am more than happy to do the research to find out. How about you and I sync up after the session and we can exchange some contact information? And as soon as I have the answer, I'm even curious about that, I will definitely get back to you. Are you always going to have the answer to everything? Why not? Yeah. Are you always going to have the answer to everything?
No.
And it's okay to say, I don't know. We are all human beings. All right, that's it. That's it. Any questions? No, after all that?
American students always have questions, right?